I was driving home one fateful evening, my car cruising along Third Mainland Bridge. I slowly felt something build up behind my eyes, a pressure that ached with every thought and seemed to move each time I blinked my eyes. I could see some dark spots in the corners of my eyes, little grey clouds that seemed to weave in and out of my vision. My heart rate increased. I was still trying to figure out what was wrong when everything suddenly went blank. When I came to, I found myself in the accidents and emergencies lobby of the hospital. Nurses and doctors were bustling around me, everyone congratulating me on having survived what should have been a fatal accident. I was told that I had crashed just at the edge of the bridge. They said that I had been rescued just in time before my car slipped off the bridge and into the Atlantic waters, crashing beneath. Everyone marveled at the miracle of God saving me from what should have been certain death. To all this, I merely looked. I said nothing till the doctors approached me with their questions, trying to find out what had caused me to lose control of my vehicle. They asked me if I had any issues with my eyesight or with my cognition, which could have played a part in the accident. My answer to both was no. They asked me if I had any other pre-existing medical health conditions. I still said no. Then they asked me for more general information. Where was I from? What did I do? How many children did I have? Tears welled up in my eyes. Suddenly my face was a flood with hot tears as the doctors watched helplessly. Madam, what is wrong? What happened? Are you in pain? I couldn't see anything. I was in pain, but not in the way in which they meant. I was a 47-year-old woman who had tried all her possible best for the past 17 years, yet no child to call her own. I wailed because I wished I had been the one lost beneath the waves, not my car. I knew that I would have been better off drowned in the Atlantic Ocean than being questioned in some hospital. I knew that my life was useless, empty. Because of what use was all the money, the wins, the accolades and the awards? What did I gain by all of them when I was still a barren, aging woman? At this point, the tone of the questions changed. The doctors began asking about things like anxiety, depression, feelings of sadness or loneliness. He asked me if I would describe myself as someone who was emotionally disturbed. He asked if my heart was heavy. I had too many words, but they stayed choked up in my throat, unable to cross the threshold of my lips. So I was recommended for a visit with a psychologist. The next day, the psychologist stopped by my bedside for a chat. She asked me if I had been under any form of stress lately and tried to find out what had been on my mind that day while driving home. It was then that I realized I had been thinking of my life, my husband, and all the events that had recently happened in my life. I also now remember that I had started having blurry vision around 5 months ago, just after my husband had left me. Yes, my husband of 17 years left me. He moved out after I found out that he had not one, not two, but 5 children outside with the same woman. I had just maintained my position as Lord of the Rings, while one woman had done what I could not do 5 times over. I could not understand how he had been able to continue the deception for so long while keeping his image as the good, kind and devoted husband up in front of me, in front of our families and in front of our circle of friends. I had been completely blindsided. Our marriage had been long distance, Abuja to Lagos. Still, we always told everyone who cared to listen that we coped well and that our love only waxed stronger. I had thought that I had found my forever person, not knowing that he had been building another family for himself for the past 12 years of our marriage. Meanwhile, I was going in circles, running helter-skelter, trying to conceive and have children. I had had 5 IVF procedures, all paid for by me. All failed. Still, I felt like I had his support, not knowing that I was on my own. The psychologist pressed on. She wanted to know what had brought on the blurry vision attacks. This was when I finally put 2 and 2 together. You see, prior to my drive back home on that fateful day, I had stumbled on a WhatsApp status video celebrating the birth of my husband's 5th child. I felt my blood boil as I watched the video, but I tried to keep my emotions in check. I got into my car and started driving with the aim of reaching my home. The psychologist advised me. She advised me to avoid staying alone. She said that I should keep myself surrounded by people who loved me and who would keep me company, thus stopping me from sinking deep into depressing thoughts. She also said that the fact that I was alive was proof that I still had a lot of good ahead of me. She asked me to try to stay positive and to believe in myself. She told me that my childlessness did not make me any less of a woman. Neither did the failed IVFs that I had had. She told me that I should take my survival as a sign that there was still hope. I was discharged from the hospital and I spent the next month researching all the possible ways I could become a mother. The psychologist's words had bolstered me up and I was geared up to find a way out. The one thing that I was sure of was that I did not want to do IVF anymore, but I was considering using an egg donor, sperm donor and a surrogate to realize my dreams of motherhood. I sat down. I stared my life squarely in the face and I made some bold decisions. I would try surrogacy a maximum of 3 times. If those failed, then I would know that I had tried my most possible best, and then I would go for adoption. Or I could divert my pain into caring for the less privileged and giving indigent children good chances at life through philanthropic giving. Now, the plan had been hatched and I was ready to swing into action. I began the IVF procedure. I used a donor egg, a donor sperm, and a surrogate. I know many may think that I am mad, wanting a child that could not be remotely genetically related to me in any way. That may be true, but I had read wide. I had seen stories of many women who had multiple IVF procedures. Most were because they refused to face reality and accept what their doctors were telling them. I had read accounts of many who had had over 7 IVFs. I knew of 3 personally. all women who were close to me and who had witnessed have more than 7 IVFs in some cases. In all these cases, all these women were over 40. All had initially insisted on using their own eggs or sperm despite medical advice otherwise. This was usually because they could not see children as theirs unless they were genetically related. Most women around my age had the same issues: low egg quality, low ovarian reserve. Still, many would refuse to accept this diagnosis, only to waste time until they finally accept donor eggs or sperm that they initially needed. I was not about to waste any time, hence my decisions regarding this. So, I started my plan. I did the IVF and it was successful on the very first try. My sessions with the psychologist had helped me focus, had pushed me to realize that all children are gifts from God. All children. So I had been able to go ahead for my dreams and I was so happy. Everything went well with the pregnancy. My surrogate had no issues, no complications, nothing to cause any form of worry until the 26th week. She suddenly started bleeding heavily. See, this lady was carrying triplets for me, a fact that made me deliriously happy, but I was also worried about her well-being. She was doing me the biggest favor in the world, sacrificing her own body in order for me to become a mother, so I did not want anything bad to happen to her. Imagine my panic when she slumped from the excessive bleeding. I prayed all imaginable prayers while rushing her to the hospital. My immediate care was not even for my babies in her womb. I was worried for her safety. So when the doctors said that the only way to save her life was to remove the children from the womb, I was not against it. I knew that at 26 weeks, these babies were not going to be strong enough to survive outside the womb. I knew that a removal meant a death sentence for my healthy babies, but I also knew that we had to do what was best for the health and well-being of my surrogate as well. I rushed around trying to make sure that everything was available to care for her. I even took a loan to foot the piling bills because I wanted to do all that I could to make sure that this young lady came out fine. My heart flooded with mixed feelings when I thought about the very real possibility of losing my children. On the one hand, I understood what was going on, but on the other, pain seemed to gnaw at my fraying heart. The doctors kept fighting to stabilize her, trying to push my babies to a point where they would at least have a chance of survival. Around 28 weeks, I received a terrible call from home. My sister called to inform me that her mother had passed. I broke down and I wept. I cried because my mother never got to see my children. She died without seeing any results from all her fasting, prayers, prophet visits and holy mountain trips for my sake. I was her first child and she had died without ever seeing me hold my own baby in my arms. This shook my faith. Suddenly, I was no longer sure that I would become a mother. I was no longer sure that this girl would make it. I was not sure if things would even work in my favor. One morning, while doing laundry, I was listening to the radio. There was a motivational speaker on that day and I listened as he spoke. This man made a statement that resonated so loudly with me. He said that all is well and it is unfolding just as it should. It felt as if I had been doused with a bucket of ice cold water. His statement meant to me that what will happen will happen. All is well and everything is unfolding just as it should. Nothing that I could do could change that, not by being sad or by being depressed. It told me that I was still in my story. Yes, I had done the beginning. I was still in the middle, and I could be sure that there would be an end, a conclusion. I could still have hope because I was not yet at the end of my story. So, I informed the surrogate agency of what had happened to me, and I handed over the lady into their care so that I could go and bury my mother. Next, I embarked on my trip to Asaba. I came into my ancestral lands with a quiet heart that was heavy with the pain of loss. As I stepped into our family compound, I was greeted by my uncle, my mother's younger brother, who held out a piece of paper saying it was a message from my mom. A message which she had given him before she died from the cancer that had plagued her for years. He said that she had made him promise to give me the dictated letter as soon as I arrived and not a minute later. I was bewildered. I looked at the words scribbled on the page. Do not fear. Do not miss me too much. I am coming back. Coming back. How? What does she mean? I folded the paper into a small square and I kept it in my purse so that I could have it on my person. Though I did not understand the message, it was a memento. It was proof of my mother's love, another thing for me to remember her by, so I kept it. At 29 weeks, I got a call from the fertility center. My surrogate had begun contracting. Her waters had broken and there was now no choice left but to bring out the babies. Of course, I gave my consent. And of course, I stressed that everything needed to be done to ensure the health of my surrogate should be done. Oh, the next few hours were extremely tense. Here I was, far away in Asaba, mourning my mother. Still, my mind stayed with my surrogate in the operating room. I picked up the phone immediately it rang, and I was informed that my surrogate was fine. Oh, my sigh of relief was cut short by the news that I had just lost 2 of my triplets during the birth. I no longer had 3 babies, just 1, a girl. Still, I was relieved. My surrogate was alive and well, and I had now gained a daughter. Immediately after my mother's burial was concluded, I rushed straight back to Lagos to meet my little bundle of joy. Oh gosh, she was glowing, shining with this ethereal glow that only convinced me even further that my mother had truly come back for me. My Ada, my love, my heart. My baby is now 2 years old and she looks exactly like Mama. My daughter is the spitting image of my mother. Their similarities running down even to mannerisms, likes and to dislikes. This, a child born from donor egg, donor sperm and a surrogate. I know many may not believe in reincarnation. I was once like you. Yet, this is my story. One so powerful and yet so undeniable. Every day, I feel gratitude well up in my heart. This is it. This was the reason why I did not die in that accident. This good still lay ahead of me, and I just had to get here to experience it. So, if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Your story is not at an end, so do not lose faith and do not stop trying. You will get there. Don't worry.
Hello, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. It's the reason for this is for you guys to learn from people's stories, their mistakes, their ups and downs, and to empower you to make the right decision. Don't forget, you are not alone in this journey. Infertility is a journey, but it has a destination. Don't lose focus on the destination. The destination is having your babies, so do not lose focus. Most importantly, make sure your mental health is key. I believe today's episode has worked well for you. Learn from it and please share, subscribe, and next week, catch you for another episode. I remain Dr. Global. Thank you.